Hi all, welcome to YouTube Developers Live. We have a great show today. We're going to talk to 9x9 TV. So let's get started. We have William Hsu,
Hi.
VP of Engineering. I'm Jeremy Walker. We have special guests from New York.
I'm a very special guest. No, I'm visiting headquarters this week.
Visiting headquarters.
He's very special.
Yep. And then we have
Thank you,
Thomas
Tom.
Dell, who's the developer.
Yeah.
So let's get started. We're going to go talk about the company first, and then we'll dive into some demos, and then we'll talk tech stuff. So what is 9x9 TV?
All right, 9x9 TV. 9x9 TV is a Silicon Valley company. We are headquartered in Santa Clara, and then we have international office in Taipei and Beijing. We are funded by venture capital, and also there's some corporate investor, and so we are doing good so far.
Okay, well, what is the goal behind?
Essentially, the goal is that we try to create next generation platform to allow the user to enjoy the internet video on their choice of screen. For example, the screen can be a phone, a tablet, computer, or TV.
Okay.
But the thing is that the word enjoy is a big word. People have different level of the feeling for the enjoy. So how exactly people enjoy watching on the internet video is a big deal. So we identified two problems we try to solve. Okay, the first problem is that what to watch. Since there are millions and billions of the video in the internet, for example, I think YouTube has like maybe like 1 hour of the video uploaded per second.
Yeah,
so that's huge, right? So then people simply will get lost in this massive amount of the video. So the first problem is what to watch. The second is how to watch it. So people have this intention to watch on tablet, on phone, and on TV. And each device have its own special feature. So 9x9 is try to come out different user interface design and provide different user experience, which will allow the user to enjoy watching the internet video on those devices to the most.
So very much video discovery and finding what you'd want to watch.
Exactly.
Great. So tell me about the name 9x9. Where did that come about?
Okay. This is an interesting name, and it's actually not random pick name. There's actually an interesting story behind this. So this actually will come back to our initial design of the UI, because as you can understand that our idea is that to try to provide the user what to watch the best. So we have this philosophy of less is more, because less complexity is simplicity. So if less resource, actually people will become more happy because there's a less hassle to deal with. So based on this philosophy, our UI designer come out a design, and then the design is a grid with 9 row by 9 column.
Ah, okay.
And we look at the UI design and say, oh, why don't we call the company 9x9? Oh, so that's everybody is happy. Oh, let's name the company 9x9. Then we have the name. Here we go, 9x9 TV here in the Google campus.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not making up this story. This is a true story. I think Tom can certify this is
It kind of locks us into a user interface, which you can see that it's not going to be.
So what was your code name before you officially named the company?
Well, we have a few code name before, but I don't want to talk about that. But that is the name you should know about.
Probably So I was messing around with your app, and I noticed something that was called day parting, which you guys do, and I don't think a lot of people know what that is. I didn't know what it was till I looked it up. But can you tell us what day parting is? Because I think that's kind of important for your app. It's kind of a neat feature.
Absolutely. As you know that we try to provide the most relevant video for people to watch, okay? And we try to think about and try to examine people's watching behavior on the TV. And we notice that people actually want to watch certain video at a certain time of the day. For example, when you wake up in the morning, you have the expectation to watch morning news. And then, at the day, you may want to watch something more relaxing, okay? And in the night, you want to watch something, you don't want people to know about that.
Yeah.
So, so in the sense that we try to understand people's watching behavior, and then will come out this idea of day parting. Essentially, we try to divide the video into different category and assign a category to different time of the day. And we then allocate those video into our user interface design, so that when you visit our website or use tablet or later on use Google TV, then you will watch certain video at that time. Again, this is a follow the philosophy of less is more. We don't give you more video, we give you less video, and you actually will enjoy more.
Okay.
So that's the whole idea behind this. And then we actually spend a lot of time doing this, more than just select a video randomly. We have algorithm which try to filter out a lot of video, a lot of channel, and then the curator, which is provide human touch, then will select, handpick from those automatically filtered video or channel, then compose the best list of video for the user to watch.
Great. So you're kind of curating at 2 levels, an algorithm level and then a user level.
Absolutely. We believe that's the best combination. A lot of companies doing this by algorithm only, and we believe that without a human touch, the video won't have its own style, won't have its taste that toward to particular group of people.
Great. Well, let's stop talking and let's start demoing, because I think I always like to see what we're talking about to get an idea of, because I'm a visual person, just to get an idea of what's going on. So I think we're starting with the tablet.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to Google TV. So
okay. This is our tablet app. Turn on the tablet. Is that visible on the screen? Okay. I will just start it. And this is actually accessing a YouTube account. And so these subscriptions that we see are actually kept by YouTube. And we can either handle our own subscriptions or YouTube can handle it. You can use your YouTube subscriptions. Either way is okay. So what we have here is a day part at the top. And this is channels selected for this particular time of day and based on your other usage behaviors. And on the right, the first channel, when this opens up, is what we call a virtual channel. And this is a mix of content from all of these channels. But if we want to, we can enter one of the channels specifically. I'm going to go to our subscriptions. So this on the right are episodes from all of these channels. And we'll pick Google Talks as since we're at Google.
nice.
Now that I've selected this, these are all episodes from one channel, from Google Talks. Let's play one. Okay, so at the bottom here are the other episodes in this channel. Right, we can subscribe to this channel or unsubscribe to it. If we don't want to watch this episode, we can. I'm doing this from a funny angle. We can flip to the next episode by going left or right. We could also flip by going up and down to different channels, but we're not going to do that. We can move around inside of an episode by just adjusting this or pausing. One of the features that I can't show you because of the setup in here is we can take whatever's showing on this and we can throw it onto a television by clicking on Watch on TV. And so this shows us actually that there is a Google TV available in the room. Unfortunately, we don't have enough cameras to show it to you. But if I clicked on this button, this video would start playing on the television over there. And this allows you in your living room to pick what you want to see on the tablet and then broadcast it on, or just throw it onto the television.
Great.
So.
And this is available. The tablet one is available now in Google Play.
Yes, this is currently in Google Play. Yes.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
let's have a look at the Google TV version. This is pretty neat too. So and yeah, we apologize to the users out there. We didn't have the setup to let them fling it on. But anyway, you could fling your video onto this application here, And do you want to walk through, William?
Jeremy, allow me to maybe have a very quick and a commercial message here. So 99 TV is now in the Google Play, so you're welcome to download it. And I'd like to use one quote from TechCrunch article about 99 TV. This is the quote. If you are one of those people with an Android device and cannot figure out what type of video to watch, please download from Google Play Store and then try it out. So this is we consider as a compliment from the TechCrunch. So I think that's hopefully you can download it, give it a try. Okay, now I'm going to show you the Google TV version of the same concept. This version is still under developing and should be released in the next few weeks. So this version has still the same idea in terms of the day parting. So as you can see on the screen, there's a morning show, and the first position in the grid, the 3x3 grid, is all update. So essentially, all the new episodes will be listed in this all update channel. We call this kind of channel called virtual channel, and the rest of the channel is the real channel. So if we can flip through the channel, and you can pick any channel to watch. So this is the morning show, and similar to the tablet version, we also have the on previously. So the on previously will be the morning news. Okay, so with remote control, you can simply using the left and right, up and down to navigate the grid position and to choose any channel you watch. So we can do that by simply take right and right, and then go to this following page, because I assigned this to this app previously, and so we have this following page from my own subscription. So now we can play one video from this old update. Okay, we can play one video here.
This will go into all your updates. So does the left and right to the screen, those go to different day parting themes?
Yes, exactly. The day parting the channel we consider as a default channel. So in addition to the default channel for everybody, we actually allow the user to import the channel from your own subscription from YouTube or subscription from 9x9 TV.
So you have your own subscriptions, and you have the day parting, so you can kind of go with whichever one best fits.
In the future, we actually will assign different channel from your subscription into the day parting. For example, in your subscription, you have CNN News, and then we will assign the CNN News to the morning news session. Maybe you have some other more interesting channel you like watch in the night, or you are prone to watch in the night. Then we will assign those channel into the prime time or night session of the day parting.
Great.
So yeah, this is the Google TV demo.
Okay, great. Well, now Yikai, I know you're waiting to get into the details, so let's get into some of those questions.
Absolutely. So Tom, first off, I don't think we fully introduced what you do for 9x9.
I wrote this app. I wrote our web app also.
Okay.
And part of the back end.
Okay.
The part dealing with the synchronization.
Okay. So that would be that's a web app, that's an Android app, and a Google TV app, which are same thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
As well as
we actually have one app that determines what it's running on and then acts accordingly.
Right. So what technology stacks do you use to build this product on top of?
Well, on the web we use jQuery, but on Android we don't use very many stacks. We use the APIs directly, and I don't even use fragments for this.
Right.
So I'm kind of anti-platform when it comes to dealing with mobile apps, but it's just like if it's not in the API,
Did you look into any using jQuery for the web front end? I mean, did you look into using any front end frameworks? And if not, if you didn't choose any, why not?
Well, we use some libraries with the front with the web front end. But are you referring to mobile front-end frameworks?
I'm referring to kind of like the full stack frameworks, like not necessarily full stack, but more MVP or MVC frameworks like Angular JS or Backbone's not really a framework, but some of these other options out there for building web.
I think frameworks lock you into certain ways of thinking, and if I can't do with there better be a really compelling advantage to using the framework. And I think jQuery is an example of a framework that makes the development much easier, like by an order of magnitude probably. But unless I get that kind of gain, or if I don't need to use a specific framework, I'm not going to, because it just makes it harder to back it out and change something or to do something unanticipated.
What did you enjoy most about building this application?
For a mobile app, it's actually very very nice to be able to hold what you're doing and have it show up on the TV as well. Making things that run on television is inherently neat, I think.
So was there a moment when it was on a Google TV and you were kind of like blown away that you were able to put this up there?
Well, I think it moves a little bit slower than that. You don't suddenly have something that's on Google TV, but so there's no blown away moment. But it's very pleasing to have what you're doing on your television, and like almost far more than almost any other platform. The mobile device comes second. The web is not nearly so exciting when it comes to that.
So did you have any challenges when you were building this application?
Our biggest challenge is actually with user interfaces, because there are some complex concepts here with channels, groups of channels, episodes, and it's very difficult to convey to the user what they're actually doing. And it's very hard for them to realize, oh, I'm looking at this, and this is the type of data that I'm looking at, or the type of content that I'm looking at. And it's very easy to get it wrong.
Right.
And a lot of other applications do get it wrong. And so
Did you find it? Is there a process that you guys have in place for validating a UI? Like you go through a couple of iterations, maybe some of these guys look at it and say, whoa, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and we try and bring in outsiders, people who aren't tainted by having used it before, and have them try it, find out what they're confused about, and then iterate through that as well. Okay. And
what's in building this application, what's like burning on your backlog that you just want to do, at least from a technical standpoint, not from a product or feature standpoint?
From a technical standpoint, we still have some issues with just some of the APIs make it difficult to do some of the things we want to do, because a lot of the Google APIs are fine if you're doing what they expect you to do, but if you go off the script, if you want to do something that the authors of the APIs didn't expect you to do, often it becomes quite difficult. And some of the other APIs, like just outside of this app, like the HTTP, the WebView API, for instance, has some issues with like there's many methods, and yet there's no method to view the content of the web API. So it's like something fundamentally basic is missing, because whoever designed the API wouldn't necessarily be thinking in that direction. And we run into this a little bit here with us wanting to display things on the screen in certain ways, and that's difficult with this API, but it's a little harder to explain than.
There's one thing I'd like to add. You can see that we try to provide the best user experience possible. So frequently we push to the limit. We are on the cutting edge, we're bleeding edge. So constantly I push Tom to, can you do this? Can you do that? If it doesn't work, or this API doesn't do what we want, can we work around with it? So we frequently in this loop kind of pushing to the limit so that the user can get what they want the best. So that's
So I have a more general question for both of you guys then, which is if you could go back to when you guys first started building this, what advice would you give yourself? One thing, if you could take one thing back. Like,
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Probably should have warned you.
We
about
actually
that one,
originally
right?
started building apps using something called XBMC. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I'm familiar with XBMC, yeah.
And so XBMC wasn't really up to making apps inside it, so I modified the internals of XBMC to make it so that we could build apps. But still, XBMC is not a stable enough platform to to do what we want. And actually, to Android's credit, Android is plenty stable for this kind of thing. And this is far more stable than our XBMC app ever was.
So I guess what you would say to yourself is, don't even bother. Like, just start with Android.
I probably would say, let's not even look at the XBMC. I like XBMC a lot, and XBMC does what it's designed to do, but we were trying to twist it into something that it wasn't designed to do.
Right.
Yeah, I can try to answer that question. But that would be a typical answer. Because our the audience keep changing, and we have a partner, they have certain requests. So the dilemma is always that how much our visibility is. Frequently, our visibility maybe like 1 month, 3 months is very short, but the schedule is very tight. So we kind of juggle around between the delivery and then compared to good planning or even a good design. But the goal is that we try to come out the best code possible, and then we can deliver the product in time, so that our partner can use the product for the demo, and our BD guy can also use it to pursue our audience outside. So that's kind of typical answer, but it's very true here, particularly while using something also very new. So yeah, that's maybe something I'd like to share with you.
Okay, great. It's all interesting stuff. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us on the show? The viewers, perhaps.
Viewers.
Or any compliment, only complaint, or.
Yeah, the API, actually, the YouTube, we use several APIs in this. We use the YouTube Player API, and we use a OAuth API to log in and get access to your subscriptions. And we also use the YouTube Data API. And actually, the combination of those is pretty good. And the YouTube Player API is new, but actually it's pretty solid. I still wish we could do certain things like we want to have title cards, which take over the screen, and some of the aspects of this API interfere with what we want to try and do. And I hope that you guys will willing to work out. We actually have the biggest problems with the YouTube, with the OAuth API, and that is someone with YouTube subscriptions is forced to actually create a YouTube channel in order for us to access those YouTube subscriptions. And this doesn't make much sense at all to the user. It's kind of absurd that you have to do this, and that's something I really wish would be fixed.
We're looking into that for the audience out there. What he's saying is basically you can create a Google account, but then you have to go through an extra accepting terms to create a channel, and then so you guys can do stuff with.
So because you can subscribe to things and it's still not accessible, and it tells the user, I think the message is, this is not linked to YouTube, which is, well, they're using it on YouTube. Yeah. But of course, it's linked.
We definitely know about that, and we're looking into it. So
there's a lot of confusion on the web about this. So
that's really confusing both to users and our developers. Right? So it's one of these things where we look at it and we think, well, developers, we definitely don't want to be confusing developers, but users for sure. When I started using the YouTube API, that was the first thing I ran into. Also, not my main account. Like, I didn't run into this for a long time. Then I created a new test account, and I was like, "Why am I getting this error?"
This is crazy.
But again, for anyone that's watching, anyone who's thinking about building YouTube, the first thing you want to do is have your users create a channel, because then you won't get this error message. And we're looking at things we can do to streamline this a little bit more. But thank you for that. That's very useful information for our developers. Jeremy?
Well, let's go to the questions. We actually only have one, and I think that may be for you.
Okay.
It's developer relations hiring.
Did you set this up? I feel like this is something Jeremy puts into. Who's it by?
Jeremy Walker.
Jeremy Walker. Wow, what a coincidence! There's someone out there with the same name as you. The answer is yes, we are hiring. We're hiring in multiple sites across the world, mainly in Mountain View, but we also have developer relations positions open in New York City. I believe we have some in our London office. Just definitely go to developers.google.com/ I think it's either jobs or careers. I think it's jobs. Right? And you'll see a list of our openings, and do join us. We get to do fun stuff. The most fun of all is interacting with developers, which it's a must-have if you want to work for this group. And sometimes it's a little tough, but for the most part, I love my job. And Jeremy, you do too.
Same here.
So,
well, thanks to our guests for coming on and talking to us a little bit about your app and your technical details. And I think that's all we got today.
Okay, thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you guys very
All right.
much.
Bye.